All right, Yellowjackets, it's time to huddle up, figure out what was going on with those hikers that
AKA
rolled
the
in
frog scientists, as we find out.
as we learn. And my big takeaway from the first, couple minutes of the episode is frogs be fucking and screaming.
And that was a great, hilarious thing that I feel like people have been theorizing for all season because we haven't heard these noises that the frogs have been making, like in season one or two. There's been like kind of weird supernatural like looking things, but it could obviously have just been their imagination. So this was like the frogs screaming the whole time while they're fucking is like the best explanation for these crazy ass like creature noises we've been hearing with the yellow jackets at night. And like I don't really think it's their fault for mistaking them for like creatures or like the wood spirits because
Yeah.
that's a crazy fucking sound. But like I did look into it and like there's a lot of fucking crazy ass frogs that make noises. I don't think this banshee frog or whatever is like a real thing, but I love the explanation that it's like frozen for however many years and then it's only like awake for 1 year and they just fuck like crazy. And I'm like, what a crazy fucking like species of frogs. And just like kind of cool to get like a POV of like normal people out in the like teen timeline at
Yeah.
like outside of like the Yellow Jackets because you get pretty swept up in their crazy civilization. So I feel like it was a really kind of a breath of fresh air of like normal humans interacting. Plus, sexy ass Joel McHale dressed up in like his mountain man outfit with his crossbow and all that shit. He was great.
Yeah, he looked like a real wilderness guy.
Yeah, Kodiak as his name, Cody. And I love that because I'll just say this right now, but last week you're like, what does Akila's vision mean? And didn't she have a vision of like a three-eyed bear?
That's
So
right.
three
Yeah.
people. Plus Travis drew the outcome of the trial a few weeks ago and he drew three people and then like a dead body. So I kind of feel like there is some shit that these people, like these guys are knowing, but I still feel like I love the rational explanation of it's just fucking, like literally fucking frogs. Like they're frogs that are fucking, and that is the explanation. There's no supernatural being out there, which was kind of
The
cool.
the thing that I was wondering, because maybe I missed it or I don't, maybe it wasn't fully explained. Are the frogs actually that loud, or was that the sound that we heard because they were mic'd up?
I couldn't tell either. So I don't know because I feel like they were just recording them. So I think they were that loud because the girls heard them. And also maybe like the way that it carried and like the wind or whatever the fuck made it creepier. But I mean, it was definitely a creepy fucking noise. That the chick Hannah, who's one of the scientists, she was like, "It's like the most beautiful thing I've ever heard." I was like, "Bitch, you're fucked." I mean, obviously, all three of these people we know are fucked, but I was like, "Really? That's the most beautiful sound?" I would definitely be terrified if I heard that in the woods. So I want
Give,
to say that they were just that loud because people have said that like frogs like different kinds of frogs can fucking be loud as hell and they make crazy ass noises. So I think that's
man,
supposed to be them. They didn't make it out like they were playing on a speaker. So
yeah, I mean, I believe it. Like you go to certain parts of the country or certain parts of the world, like there's bugs that if there's enough of them, they are the loudest thing you've ever heard, whether it's like crickets or like cicadas in like the
dude,
Midwest, like
we
just
have those
sounds like
here in Vegas. They're fucking
yeah,
crazy because it's only every like 7 years or whatever the fuck. And then it's just like, Jesus, it sounds like there's millions of them and you can't see them, but you can fucking hear them. It's terrifying.
so if there's a bunch of frogs and they're all waking up this
And just
year to
fucking
go
at the
fuck.
same time. They're all like in a big pit fucking, which is just crazy. I feel like obviously this episode is called Croak, but like we learned a lot about frogs, let alone
Yeah.
a lot about like the explanations for the Yellow Jackets show. But like I was surprised. I didn't know frogs were that crazy or did all that fucking together of all places.
Now, I wonder if because the scientists are held in captivity. I wonder if they're going to tell them about frogs, and then I wonder if Lottie, the craziest bitch ever, as we learn in the very beginning of this episode, I wonder if she's going to like try licking one of the frogs, because remember, like people used to lick frogs and they would get high from it. I wonder if that
Yep.
like takes things to a new level.
I could definitely see Lottie doing that because Like I saw a lot of people surprised, being like, "Man, I really don't think I can defend Lottie anymore." And I was like, "Was anyone really trying to defend Lottie in the first place? I mean, if you were, kudos, I guess. But man, you were really already having to do some mental gymnastics.
Yeah.
And now, like, once we get like the catch up, literally, haha, sorry, not literally. I don't know why I said that, but we get caught up on all the shit with the frog scientists till when they come up and the guy Edwin, right, or is it Edgar? No, it's Edwin because that's a fucking what's his face?
I don't know the names. Is that the guy with the glasses?
Yeah, Joel McHale calls him like two different names, so I forget. It's Edwin, I
Oh,
think. But anyways, the guy with the glasses who was what was he on New Girl?
yeah. New girl. His name's
Yeah.
Nelson Frank.
Okay, yeah, I will never remember that. But glasses guy doesn't matter because he's pretty much dead by Lottie immediately, which like I did see a lot of Eagle-Eyed fans point out that like at the end of the last episode, after Lottie screams no, you see her in the background run off the screen as like it pans to like everyone looking and it shows the people. So this episode, I was like, I literally watched last week's right before this just to confirm it. And I was like, oh, yeah, she fucking does. So I was kind of ready for her to show up and do something. I still was not really sure that, like, whatever I was expecting was definitely not her just fucking throwing an axe in the back of his head like a fucking psychopath. And everyone's just like, everyone's reaction was really crazy and really good because I feel like it really shook, like, everyone out of their insane wilderness tribe
Yeah.
ideas, almost woke everybody up to be like, whoa, what the fuck? That was our way home. Except for like obviously Lottie, and then the psychopath that Shauna is with like smiling and laughing. That was probably
Yeah.
the darkest reaction, I think, out of everyone. I was like, Jesus, Shauna, what the fuck?
Yeah, that was a moment that it happened, and I felt like the audience was in the same place as the rest of the girls. We were just like, "What the fuck, Lottie?
Yeah,
Are you
whoa, dude.
serious?"
I was just like, honestly, I felt very happy to see the girls turn on Lottie this episode. I didn't know if that would ever actually happen because I know they still get into this fucking tribal shit, obviously. This
Mhm.
isn't the end point. They still need the snow and a couple more, I think, till January, before they actually get rescued. So they get back into it. But I thought it was cool to like, especially like Mari saying like, Lottie, go fuck your blood dirt or whatever. I was like, that's
Yeah.
amazing because Mari was like has been pretty much one of her like main supporter since like
Yeah.
pretty early on in season one, I feel like. So I loved seeing like all of them kind of snap back into reality and be like, no, Lottie, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you're crazy. I was honestly surprised she wasn't tied up at any point. She just stayed eating that guy's brains and smearing it all over her face. And I was just like, that's really what she's been doing until the fucking sun comes up. That's what she's
Yeah.
doing. Like, psycho, dude. I knew she was crazy, but this just like was a lot more than I felt like was going to happen right away. So I
Yeah.
thought that was a great way, though, or a great way to introduce this episode, because I feel like as much as like, sorry, Edwin, you had to die, but like he was probably the least interesting person to have interact with the Yellowjackets. It did almost seem like he recognized who they were right before he got
Hmm.
axed. But I also feel like I love the idea of them interacting with Hannah a lot more, the woman,
Yeah.
or with Joel McHale, because he can like protect himself and he's like fucking outdoorsman. So I feel like he can actually like take on the Yellow Jackets or even kill some of them. So like I feel like both of those characters mixed in with the Yellow Jackets will be way more interesting. So I think it was the right move. Plus it
Yeah.
just shows the threat level midnight coming from the Yellow Jackets as if they weren't already aware after seeing the fucking head on the plate. But that was just nuts. I love it too because it's like, yeah, I knew that they were not going to be like, okay, like let's go back. Like I knew all of them were not going to agree on that. I knew that
Yeah.
some of them, like Shauna was going to say, we can get rid of the witnesses, which of course, but I felt like I love the fact that like it just happened right away without any discussion. And it was just like, all right, we're off to the races because then the other two run off and we're like, a chase. Oh
Yeah.
boy. Like, and the girls, I will say, like, I know that we've been with them the whole time and like they're like our point of view characters there, but like I feel like they were really scary this episode when they were hunting those people. What about you?
Yeah. It looked like they had practiced some of that.
Well,
Like,
because they hunt a lot. I mean, obviously, it sounds like they've hunted each other, obviously. They've like gotten in touch with nature. So it's like they turn out their fucking fires and they're just like stopping and listening. And then like
Yeah.
it's just creepy. Also, it was interesting how like it's almost like a basic instinct that they go back to now because I feel like Shauna and Natalie kind of teamed up and like we're
Hmm.
working together. And I was just like, this is odd. You guys hate each other.
Yeah.
But I think
It
now
was
it's more like I need to be one of the people that catches them so that they don't just kill them right away.
Yeah, and they were smart with like how like Travis was shooting the gun in specific areas to guide him to the cliff. Like they were really smart and like tactical. I was surprised. I was like, okay, you guys are not just out here doing shrooms and
I
eating each
mean,
other.
they are doing those things, but they are also, I mean, they also built that fucking place where they live. So I feel like they're pretty fucking badass now. And I do like to see that they can still work as a team, weirdly.
Hmm.
However, that whole thing with Travis, I just felt so bad when he was like, okay, yeah, let's do that, Misty, but why don't you go? Why don't you stay here and then pop out to be a distraction? And then we'll distract him over here, like him and Aquila. And I was like, God, even in a situation like this, Misty gets left out. And I just felt bad for her.
Well,
I don't know.
then she cracks her glasses.
Exactly, which is like I think in the very premiere episode of the Pit Girl scene when she like takes off her mask, her glasses are cracked. So I love that
Mm.
coming back. But it's just interesting how like I think especially this episode, you really are like it's interesting how the girls as adults are still so standoffish with Misty, where like I feel like they would be a lot more like fuck off if they were like to be contacted by Lottie or Shauna based on the current episode and the way that those two are acting. I don't know about you, but like that's it's like almost like do we not know what Misty's up to? Does she do something else fucked up? Maybe that's it, but like I
Yeah.
feel like they're just maybe just treating her that way because they always have. But I'm like, those two girls seem like way more fucked up shit that they're doing that I would have a problem with or be terrified of later.
Yeah, it's a good point. We also got an answer in the very beginning of the episode. We learn where the supplies came from that Coach
Hmm.
found.
Yes, the KUH.
Yeah.
Previous researchers. And then there's all the theories of like Joel McHale supposedly lives out there. So it's like maybe his dad or whatever built the cabin. But I'm like, I don't think that's a thing because he would know if it burnt down. He would probably notice.
Yeah. That I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, I wonder if Joel McHale has a connection to Cabin Daddy.
Right? I mean, who knows? We don't know anything about Cabin Daddy still, so who knows? But yeah, I feel like we got a lot of answers this episode, just in general, to confirm that a lot of things aren't supernatural that we thought, at
Yeah.
least in the teen timeline. I know there's still kind of some questions in the adult timeline, but I do feel like that might be answered a little bit more in this episode. But
Also,
overall, I like these. I like that we're actually getting answers and that they feel like very realistic things.
yeah. And we kind of know the outcomes of these characters because in the present timeline they say that they all disappeared, never were found. So whether that means they're left dead or if they're left behind or something happens, I don't know.
Because Joel
But
McHale's the only one realistically, I feel like that could possibly have like survived out there because he
yeah,
lived out there. But I think we'll see. I worry that like I honestly when he was like off the cliff and they were like pulling him back up, his line first off of like save your bullet was like pretty fucking badass. If you're like hanging on
yeah,
a cliff, I'll kill myself. I was like, damn, I like this guy. But then when they brought him up, and then it's like I just was really worried at first that he was gonna kill Aquila or something.
hmm,
I don't know why. Well, obviously because Travis we know lives, but I like that Travis was like, "Can we fucking go with you? Can you take us home?" Like, I really enjoyed the teenage actors just being like real people, real teenagers
yeah,
again, and actually having that thought because I feel like we might have talked about this recently that like it's weird how they haven't tried to go get home, but I feel like after the wolves thing and like them trying to go hike, like they had moved as a group maybe during the spring, but it feels like they kind of were just like, okay, this is our new life, you know? And then I love the fact that like when the chance of rescue comes up, like I like the fact that there's a split, obviously, but I really enjoy like Van especially I think was surprising how much she wanted to go home and how much she
yeah.
got out of like kind of the weird, really like religious kind of thing she's been into for a long time out there.
Yeah. It'll be interesting the next couple episodes. I will say now that I've had a full episode to see Hannah, I think I'm
Hmm.
on board with her being Pit Girl.
I mean, yeah, the look, the like build, I would say the hair
The
especially,
hair's the big one.
especially because she gets it caught on that branch and Shauna fucking grabs it and pockets it. So you're like, this bitch. But I feel like her hair is very similar to like what's on the in the very first pilot episode when they do like when they show you the hunting thing and you see the antler queen, she has like really long brown hair
Hmm.
locks like hanging all over her dress. So
Yeah.
it does also
Well,
track with that, but maybe that's because she is the antler queen at that point. That would be
uh,
crazy if she
that would
becomes
be
like, that's what I'm interested to see with her because I feel like she's going to be smart with the way that, like, are they going to really just go and sacrifice her? It says that she, like, because they mention as adults that she becomes friends with or gets close
yeah,
to, like, Jen and
Mel
Melissa.
and Jen. Yeah.
So I feel like she's gonna stick around for a while, but like, does she participate? Does she like engage? Does she become the antler queen, or is she pit girl because it's like, like someone finally, Shauna finally wins in the whole like, we can't have any witnesses.
Well, the first time that they did the hunt with Natalie,
Hmm.
it was essentially like we have no food, we have nothing to survive, so we're gonna draw. And I feel like and the big thing is the necklace because they put the necklace on essentially the sacrifice. And so Pit Girl is wearing the necklace. So that must mean that if it is Hannah, she essentially becomes part of the group. And
Hmm.
then when they run out of resources and
Or if
everything,
they decide to start hunting without the need to, that's where I feel like after the eating of Ben and like there was no need to with all the food that they have,
yeah,
I feel like they're getting to the point where I think they might like start doing hunts, especially if the like group splits up into two different clans. That could be
hmm,
interesting. I don't know if that would actually happen, but like I would be really curious about that because I feel like it could happen, especially with how Lottie's behaving. And like Shauna didn't seem to mind, but like even Melissa, I feel like because she got shot in the fucking shoulder. I know a lot of people were very excited about that because they really hate Melissa. But I thought it was really interesting how she like called out for Shauna, and then Shauna was like, "No, like I'm going hunting." Like her bloodlust was like too high. She's like, "Fuck it." But then she told Mari like, "If she dies, you die," which I thought was pretty funny. But also like, I feel like Melissa when she gets back, like she doesn't look Shauna in the eye, and she seems kind of like butthurt about it, which like I get it. Cause like she probably thought she was gonna die and Shauna doesn't even give a fuck. Obviously, we all know this, but I feel like Melissa maybe is just realizing she was like caught up in the shit and like doesn't really want that or Shauna doesn't really love her. So I think it could be interesting. I hope we get some character growth from Melissa because I feel like a lot of people hate her so much, but I do feel like we might get a little bit of growth here if she gets close to Hannah. Maybe she like turns around and like realizes how fucked up and dark Shauna really is and like
she's gonna
turns
break
away
up with
from her.
Shauna.
I feel like it's going there because Shauna is like pretty clearly a psychopath. At every
Hmm.
turn, she becomes worse. And I was saying this like mostly in the teen timeline, but like as an adult, I also think she's just as unhinged and we're getting to that same level there. So
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just like I think that would be an interesting way for Melissa to turn away from her in the teen timeline. I think that's maybe where they're headed because she did look like Shauna kind of smirks when she gets back, like, "Oh, good, you're alive," and then it's like
Yeah.
she's like, ugh, like doesn't even look her in the eye. So I feel like she might be kind of out on Shauna, so that will be kind of interesting, I think.
That scene of them pulling out the arrow, that was pretty hardcore. I
Yeah,
was
that was pretty
was not
rough.
expecting that. That was pretty sweet.
And they push it through. That was just, and then Lottie being like, "Can I help?" It's like, "Fuck off, bitch!" Like, no,
Covered
you
in
can't
blood
help.
and brains.
Yeah, you've been eating brains and dirt for like 8 hours. Like, no, you cannot help. I thought that was fucking great. I really think that like, so a lot of people were like, I feel like Melissa might die, obviously, from that wound, but then I wanted to ask you about this because I feel like this is something a lot of people have been debating about because as adults. which I thought was a really great, like, I loved the adult storyline too, this
Mm-hmm.
episode, and like them all getting together and think and like realizing maybe Shauna murdered Lottie was
Mm-hmm.
a lot of hilarious shit. But I feel like the throwaway line of like, oh, it couldn't be Jen and Melissa who brought the tape back
Yeah, because they're
because
dead.
they're dead is what Van says. But then it does like cut to Shauna's face and she kind of makes a little face like, okay, we
Uh,
know. Maybe she knows that. I think maybe she's not really going to supposedly Hannah's daughter's house, Alex or whatever. And even if she is, that actress was actually credited in this episode, like at the very end, I think, closing the curtains. But she's like
oh.
a totally different actress than Hilary Swank. I think it's Melissa who's the one that dropped the tape off and did all this shit. And that, like, if she got close to Hannah when they were younger, when she got back, it makes sense she would bring the tape and eventually maybe she's just using it to get to Shauna or like to expose it because she maybe is like friends or takes care of Hannah. I don't know. But I feel like they
Hmm.
probably, or Hannah's daughter, Alex is what they say. That's where
Hmm.
Shauna says that she's supposedly going. I feel like it's still going to be Melissa because Hilary Swank uh, has like blue contacts in the previews and shit and all the clips. She has brown eyes in real life. So why would they give her blue contacts
Yeah.
unless she's a character with blue eyes, which is Melissa. And I think that's where they're going with this whole like turning on Shauna in a teen timeline. I think either Melissa, I don't know how the others would think that she's dead and Shauna would know. Somehow maybe she is still alive. Maybe Shauna
Maybe.
was supposed to kill her and didn't. But I think it would
Maybe.
be after they got back, right?
Maybe. I mean, maybe it's like a Misty and what was that girl's name? Claire. Who's the girl that Misty
Jessica Roberts.
killed? No, the girl that Misty killed in the teens in
Oh, as
season
a teen.
two.
Crystal.
Yeah, maybe it's a crystal situation where only Misty or only Shauna knows actually what happened, and she just said that she died.
Right? That's what I was saying because I feel like I don't think she's going to be the daughter because I don't think also the ages would line up, even though I think
Hmm.
the actress who plays Hannah is like 36 or something, which she looks way younger than that. So, and they said it was a teenage pregnancy. So, like, who knows about the math? But I do feel like there's no way that they would do that if the blue contacts, first of all, I think that to me really sells it that it's Hilary Swank as Melissa. And then another thing is that there's rumors that Hilary Swank will be a recurring character for season 4. So I feel
Oh,
like that would only be the case if she's like another fucking yellow jacket. Plus, the episode description next week says that the unexpected return of an old teammate sends Shauna for a spiral. So
I guess that does make
I
sense.
do feel like it was a misdirect. And because it's like the TV rules, I think we should always apply here, which is if we don't see the body, they're not dead. They could talk
Yeah.
all day about Ben being dead. They never really mentioned that. But like everyone kind of assumed he died out there. But like I was still like, hey, until we see it, Ben is alive. And I hung on to that until just this, past couple episodes when he died finally. So I feel like Melissa, everyone is kind of quick to assume that what they're all saying is correct. But I don't buy it. I think
Hmm.
Melissa's definitely alive and I think she's Hilary Swank. And that's my theory though. But I was curious if you had the same thoughts or like what
I
did you take what they said as like, okay, yeah.
no, I mean, you answered questions that I had because I was wondering. I was like, okay, if Melissa's dead, then like, who is Hilary Swank? Like, who is she coming into play? Because I was thinking, I was like, is it the daughter? But then I was like, I I don't know if
It feels kind of like a
I
lame random
I don't know if
villain for us
Hilary
to have.
Swank can pull off. I don't know if they could pull off her being significantly younger than
She's
all of the
actually
other
older
women.
than them. Yeah. Like she's
Yeah,
like almost 50. So I was like, I don't think it would make sense. She's about their age. So
yeah.
I agree. I think it was just like a red herring thing, which like also if you go back to the episode when like the phone is left in the bathroom and then Shauna calls, they like interject that scene just cut between her and Melissa making
Hmm.
out for the first time and like I said that earlier. Like, if that's not Melissa, then who's like the one in the adult timeline, it doesn't make any sense. That's like too far of like a misdirect that like they
Yeah.
just wouldn't do.
And also, what other character? at this point could throw Shauna into a spiral from
Thank you. Yeah.
from the past. Uh,
Exactly. A teammate. It wouldn't be fucking Hannah's daughter, right? It wouldn't be this woman's daughter. But I really enjoyed that like whole aspect of the tape recording that it wasn't just what Lottie did, but like
mhm.
it was her message to her daughter, which I think is a very interesting thing to have on the tape because it's like if you give this to Shauna, right? Shauna's gonna assume exactly what she assumes, which was that it's Hannah's daughter. And what do we know about Shauna? Every time she assumes someone is guilty, they are not the one who did it.
Yeah.
So
And
I
and
think
it
it's definitely obviously not correct what she's doing or what she's thinking.
and it would make sense if it was Melissa, because if Melissa and Hannah got close, then Hannah might actually tell Melissa about the tape
And
because
where to fucking find it? Because
because
who else?
she hid it.
Yeah, because who else would just stumble on this years later? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
It feels like it was, I like it. I don't know. I guess I haven't looked up like how long those things last outside in the elements, but like snow, rain, all that shit. I want to say like she'll probably tell Melissa where it is
Hmm.
sooner rather than later. And like that's why it's still out, is because none of them even, like, obviously, none of them knew that she even had a daughter. So none of them even knew that the tape existed.
Yeah.
Which is just a great element of this whole thing. And I love that the creators have like said that this was all included in their like
Hmm.
original pitch to the studios, was like going through it and then be like, and then the frog scientists show up, and it's like the what? And I just think it's so cool because these are like the two, this episode and last week are the two highest episode rated episodes of the show ever.
Mm.
I think even more than
Oh.
season one, which is crazy. So I'm very excited to see how far like it goes from here because I think like just based on this episode and last week, like it's gonna be like fucking intense shit every episode, like the
Hmm.
next three episodes. It's crazy. Like there's so much going on. It's just like I think they're gonna be just insane. I'm so excited.
Definitely. Before we move on to the adult timeline, you got my brain you got my brain moving and thinking about things. And I
Cool.
wanted to ask you, because I know you keep up with the Reddit and the theories a little bit more than I do.
Hmm.
Is there a chance that Hannah actually had twins, and but she only sent a message to the daughter because I don't know, she gave up the son or something. I don't know. Where I'm going with this, Walter.
I figured that's where you're
I
going.
I told you, as soon as we get introduced to new characters that aren't part of the original plane crash, Walter is my first
I know.
suspect.
But the thing that I've been
Big
thinking,
blue
so
eyes.
I will say the big blue eyes, definitely. There's so many theories that like Walter is Melissa transitioned. And I was just like, I don't think that was like a joke theory. But then like, I think people really latched onto it because like there was scenes where
I
they were
feel like
both
we
wearing
threw
striped
that out
shirts.
also as a
It was
joke.
like that. I think I was telling you that this was like a theory I saw. And I thought it was great because I'm just like, people are really just like throwing everything out there. And Walter is so suspicious to so many people. I will say that I kind of agree in the way of like, I feel like he's a little suspicious because he's kind of inserting himself into things. And like the fact that he had literally just got Shauna's DNA last episode. And then he's like, yeah, it's a match for her. It's like he could just be lying, but also he's lying to Misty Quigley. So I feel like he would have to show like some evidence, but maybe she doesn't know what that shit means when she's looking
Hmm.
at. I mean, that's why she sent it to him, right? So maybe he could fake it, but like with Walter, I just get to the point of like, okay, so if he really was out for revenge, what is he doing? Why is it taking him so long? He literally has helped cover up their shit with murders that he's committed. So he's now just as guilty for some things as they are in the adult timeline. So I don't know what his motive would be in that way of like, why would he be waiting forever and why would he be helping Shauna last season by killing the police detective? Like that feels like I wouldn't be doing something like that if I was going to eventually frame someone or expose them for shit. You know? He's kind of doing fucked up shit too. I'm just maybe it's just because I hope he's actually good and still really loves just wants to be with Misty, but like I don't know. Whatever he was trying to do with separating her from Shauna, it's definitely working. And I thought the whole like I don't know. I guess Walter could be he's definitely still suspicious until proven otherwise. I'll give you that.
Hmm.
But I don't know about this whole twin theory. And if he is, maybe that's where they're going. But would you buy him and Hilary Swank as twins? I would not. Oh wait, sorry, they wouldn't be the twins. It would be somebody else, right? And I feel like
It
he
would it would
maybe
it would be whoever Shauna is. It would be the daughter, so not Hillary
okay, so
Swank.
Alex, it'd be the
It'd be
Alex chick.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I
Or
did see that that
question,
chick
did
who's playing her,
yeah, okay. Uh,
she was
okay.
cast in the episode and she's in it, I think, closing like the curtains outside the house that Shauna is at the very end. But again, I got very strong Melissa vibes when she like looks down and she's brought her knife and she's got like the knife holder, just like it's a different one, obviously, but just very similar to like earlier this season. We just saw fucking who gave her one of those, but Melissa. So I just feel the signs are really strong there. But I don't know. Walter is going to be suspicious for so many things. That's the thing. I can't
He's
tell. I
always
feel
going to
like
be
he's
suspicious.
definitely part of something, but I also think he really is in love with Misty. But we'll see. I don't know. I love Misty and I feel like she's on fire this season. So
Hmm.
I thought, I don't know, maybe her and Walter will get back together, but I feel like he's definitely still a little suspicious.
Well, Misty had the best line of the episode when they go to the hospital for Van, and she says, "I'm not family, but we have a very intense trauma bond."
Yeah. So many good ones.
But all right, so going to the present day timeline, I'll just ask you straight up. Do you think Shauna did it?
So that's what I was about to ask you as well, because I think that's what we're all thinking, right? Because Walter says that he found Shauna's DNA match to whatever the sample was that Misty took from under Lottie's fingernails, which would indicate a struggle. Some people have asked, like, do you think it could be Callie because their DNA is the same? But I feel
Uh,
like Callie was kind of like learning that her mom's pretty fucked up because she was even figuring out the Canada like frog scientist shit and being like, I don't know, I kind of think she's sketchy. So I don't know if she would have killed Lottie. If she did, maybe it was an accident, but I kind of feel like the only thing holding me back because I agree, like Shauna pretty much did have the most reason. And I would say, yeah, it does seem like something she would do, but she wouldn't push someone down the stairs. As we've seen, when she goes to confront someone, it's all knives, baby. So
that's
I do
true.
feel that somebody else might have done it. And maybe they planted that evidence. Or it was like fucking Callie. Or it was just because her and Callie were like braiding each other's hair the night before.
Yeah,
Maybe that was how it got under her nails. I don't know.
Callie is still the big question mark because we don't know
Her
how
motives.
much Lottie told her.
No, and we
And
also know that she's like listening and she's like way smarter than her mom or her dad is giving her credit for.
yeah, like I feel like Callie knows stuff. Like I feel like Lottie told her stuff, and that is what is spurring on all of this like investigativeness of Callie.
I
And
wonder if if Lottie tried to sacrifice her or something, maybe like that would be why she would have
because she gave
accidentally.
her the necklace.
Yeah. So maybe she learned what that was by talking to Lottie or going to meet her. And then she was like, let me show you, and like brought her to her altar. And then maybe she was like, what the fuck? No, get away from me. I don't know. A lot of people thought Jeff was acting pretty suspicious with like, there's bed bugs. I'm like getting itchy. Like, you kind of just get more annoyed by the small things when you're like stressed out or whatever. And
Yeah,
maybe he is just stressed out because he's trapped in a fucking hotel room and his wife won't let him leave. And
he's
he
got a
has like,
business to run.
and the business is like also he's like this fucking shitty fucking hotel room that he's like not even probably still in the running to get to redo. So he's like
Yeah.
extra mad. But people were like, maybe he's guilty. That's why he's all stressed. But I'm like, would Jeff, who's like all about karma this season, I still don't think he's the killer, but like maybe that's a twist. I didn't think he was the blackmailer, but God bless him, he was. So who
Well,
knows?
well, the two suspects are Shauna and Ty because they're the two that have confirmed evidence that they were there the day of.
Yeah, we get to see Dark Tie with her dirt mouth this episode, even just to confirm. And it's like, yeah, that bitch is fucking crazy, as if we didn't know.
Yeah,
She's nuts.
the last several episodes, they're really hitting us over the head with like, it's dark tie,
Like
it's
Van is
dark
like
tie.
finally figuring it out. It's like I think you've known for a while. Like that's I was gonna mention just as we're talking about those two. I actually really liked their whole bit this episode, and I thought like it was interesting how Ty's credit cards got declined when she was trying to pay for gas. I'm like, man,
Mm,
Dark Ty really just don't give a shit. She's just like running all the resources out for Thaisa. And like when regular Ty comes back, she's gonna be like, what the fuck? So I thought it was interesting that like that whole part where like Van's hallucinating in the hospital and she sees like her young self first, and then her young self like sets fire to the bed, which like a lot of people too are like really noticing a lot of like fire van connections. Like, does that have to do with starting the fire in the cabin? I don't know. I
mm,
kind of feel like we might never find out about that, but I'm I'm interested because she even had that fucking like weird trippy vision earlier, and it was like the fire in the cabin, also relating back to the fire on the plane in season one, and even the fire after the wolves when they tried to when those they thought she was dead and they burned her almost. And so I just feel like
right.
a lot of the fire connections with Van is pretty interesting. But then from there, it's like then she kind of has that like out of body like connection talk with like Ty, which kind of reminded me again, like obviously she like pukes up blood this episode as like so you're like, holy shit, like she's really fucking sick still. But like that definitely makes more sense as to last episode. I feel like when she was like getting the phone that rang and she was talking to like other Ty, I feel
Mhm.
like it's more just like her other feelings, but like part of the reactions to just like her cancer, right? Like it's
Mhm.
having kind of these weird visions and like she's just kind of coming to terms with like realizing that it is Dark Ty. And like that's how she sees her with that fucking dirt around her mouth. That it's like terrifying, honestly. And it's kind of sad the way that she's like, I just want to see her. Can you please? And it was like fucked up. Like I thought it was a really interesting dynamic. And I was like, I know a lot of people have kind of been confused about like where are we going with this Dark Ty being in control the whole time? What does that mean? And I feel like I still don't know necessarily where we're going, but I really liked this whole thing of like now Van's getting really sick. Unfortunately, I do feel like Van might die this season, is what it's looking like. I
Yeah.
think Ty might try to kill the guy next to them in the hospital or something next episode, or like try to do something like
Uh,
that to save Van, but I don't know if it's gonna work. And I feel like I'm very interested to see if like does that make Dark Ty go away completely, or like is she tied to that, or will that even like, how will that all work? I'm very curious to see how if Van, I think that would be like probably where they're going with the story. I think it would be the most interesting, sadly. I don't want to lose adult Van because I love Van, but
It's so good. And
yeah, both timelines, Van's great. And I just felt like especially the teenage one, felt so vulnerable this episode of like, I'm going to try to call my mom when they found the equipment in the campsite. And like, I just felt very, very sad. And it's such a tragic thing for her to be dying right now. And it's just like, I kind of feel like like, it seems like we're going to have two adult Yellow Jackets die this season.
three, because Travis died.
No, I'm saying this season, though, season
Oh,
three.
this
We've already
season.
had
Oh,
Lottie
there'd be
die.
four with, yep, yep,
Totally would be four, but like usually it's been one per season, which is like,
yeah,
yeah, someone's knocking them off. I mean, in the preview for next week, Shauna says something about like you got to be the only way to keep it a secret is to like be the only one left. So you're like,
yeah.
I mean, that tracks with this bitch's like craziness in both timelines because I feel like I love how everyone just automatically is like, yeah, that kind of makes sense actually for Shauna to have done it, but
And I was gonna ask you, has there been other times in the show where the past and present versions interact in a scene?
that's a good
I
question.
I don't I think this is the first time
I
that
think so.
and Sarah mentioned when we were watching it, she's like, I think the casting of young Van and adult Van is the best pairing.
It's
Like
so good.
they look like that. They look exactly like, oh, that person could totally grow up to that person.
And I like actually like well with both I think everyone on the show, but especially with Van, I feel like for like a lot of the show so far, since they've been in the wilderness, it's been hard to see like the similarities as much besides the way they look and act. Like I would say
Hmm.
the like total belief versus like kind of being totally a cynic and not believing in anything as an adult and being like also diagnosed with cancer. It's like obviously it's like a whole different person. So I'm so curious to see like how young Van kind of translates. I think we got a little bit more of like her going back to that kind of self this episode of like trying to call her mom and being like, we just need to find these people and get the fuck out. So
Hmm.
I thought that was really interesting. I do feel like it's gonna happen, and I'm really sad if like she dies and like other like her other tie has been in control of this for who knows how long, and like the other tie might, the regular tie that we know might wake up and like Van's dead.
If I had to guess, I would say Dark Tai took over in the finale of season two, like
That's what I was thinking
when she
too.
puts the mask on
That sounds
and.
about right for her.
All
So I was
right.
definitely expecting that too.
Well, last question. Do you think Shauna is going to kill the daughter, or is she going to
Yes.
have a reasonable conversation?
No, she's definitely gonna kill her. She's 100% gonna kill her. I think Sean is the ultimate big bad for this show. I think it's gonna come down to if like it could be my dream ending, I think it would be like maybe everyone else is dead, but I think Misty will be the final girl. But it would be also sad for Misty because all she wants is for the others to be around. So that would be really depressing. But I also feel like it very well could be Shauna, the only one left because she's murdered everybody else just to keep it down. Even maybe her family, it seems like she gets pretty like fucking scary sometimes. And like it's like how she's manipulating them so much. You're like, I mean, she might fucking kill Callie or something. I don't know.
I would
Pretty
I would
ruthless.
actually I would love it if next week's episode starts kind of like the opening of Inglorious Bastards, where it's just tension filled, and then it ends with Shauna killing her, because I think that would be a great like just plot development of like Shauna is the bad guy. Like Shauna is the big bad, like you're saying. Like confirmed she's the bad guy. And then there's maybe some development of Melissa trying to get in contact with her to try and stop it from happening, or I don't know. But like that would be a really good plot development of like, nope, Shauna's the crazy one. She's always been crazy. She's just been hiding it.
I think it's like her getting back in the adult timeline. It feels like her going back to her true self. I mean, even when she like they come to her at the elevator, like at her place, and she like sees Misty, she's like, "What's she doing here?" And it's like she knows that Misty didn't fuck with her car. She knows nobody fucked with her car. She is still using that as something that like somebody tried to kill her. I think
Yeah.
nobody did that or the brakes, or sorry, the brakes or the freezer. I don't think anybody had a part in. Someone did leave the tape, but what's interesting is like I didn't think about it till after, but like they're going to Virginia to the daughter's house. And if she was supposedly trying to kill Shauna doing all these things, like that would be mean that she was a lot closer and she wasn't back
Hmm.
at home, right?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Why
That's
would she be doing all this shit if she's not like she'd be local or staying somewhere?
yeah.
So I was like, it
It's
doesn't.
a good
Shauna
call.
obviously is always wrong. The fact that like Misty finds out on the phone about like Shauna in the car and like the whole texting bit where they're all texting, Shauna's like, okay, what the fuck is going on? Like, because everyone's just texting each other.
Yeah.
That was like some fucking great shit. I don't know about you, but I was like
That's so
laughing like
funny.
crazy. That shit was gold. And the fact that or Shauna ends up ditching them is, of course, just very typical Shauna. But I feel like maybe that's because she wasn't going to Hannah's daughter's place. Maybe she was originally going to see Melissa, where she knows that
Hmm.
Melissa is, but like that's why she didn't want them to tag along.
Yeah.
Or she didn't want to pay for gas also because she didn't want to be able to be tracked.
Hmm.
However, there's probably cameras everywhere, so she's like on camera doing. I mean, Shonda doesn't really think things through, we know, but I just feel like this whole Alex situation, she definitely could open the next episode murdering this chick, and then Hillary Swank is like, So that, like, I don't know. I kind of feel like Hillary Swank's going to be there instead of the daughter, and they're going to have
Yeah.
some discussion. But it seems
Yeah.
like in the preview, Hillary Swank's like asking, like, does she know about what you're capable of? And I feel like she's talking about her daughter. So I feel like maybe she did leave the tape there because she saw Callie in the kitchen and maybe wanted her to know. Like she
Yeah,
is trying
maybe
to expose Shauna, I think.
yeah, maybe Melissa left the tape kind of assuming that Shauna would go after her. So she's trying to get Shauna away from everyone and lure her to this place where she's already at.
Yeah, but she thinks it's the because she knows how she thinks. I also thought it was a little bit extreme for Shauna to have figured out all this stuff by calling places and whatever. I know she did that with Adam back in season one, but like,
Yeah.
I also thought maybe Walter was helping her, but then I was like, he must be also giving her false info because I feel like he could be playing all these bitches. We don't know. There's so many still like interesting things, but like, I'm just so glad that we're not like lost where we still have so many questions, but like, new characters show up and then you have more questions, right? I feel
And the
like
best
these ones like provide questions while answering a lot of core questions that we've been asking for a long time, but it's now like how does things play out knowing this information? It changes a lot of stuff, honestly. If you're thinking about going back and rewatching seasons, now is a great time because it really affects a lot of things that you see early on. So,
yeah.
like when you
And
realize that they're talking about in season 1 like are you sure? Like, we really, like, if shit gets out that what we did out there when they're adults and you're like, I mean, the cannibal shit, I was always like, yeah, they could probably talk their way out of that. That's pretty reasonable. So, what the
yeah.
fuck else did they do? And now we're finally getting that information and like already bad with Ben, but like they could still get away with that. This is like even worse. And the fact that, like, I don't know. I'm just very excited about how things are getting answered, but we still have so many exciting mysteries that I feel like we're pretty close to solving. Like, at least finally, next episode, we know who Hilary Swank is playing. We've been waiting all fucking season.
Yeah. And the best part is that we got 3 episodes left this season. We got a
Yeah,
lot of ground to cover, but I promise you we're not going to find out what the symbol is until like the very last season. That where the symbol came from, all that, it's going to be at the very
I
end.
do feel it could be connected just like the supply dumps, like to the
Yeah.
scientists or like the land surveys or whatever. Or maybe it's connected to like fucking guys living off the land up there. I mean, if that has some like crazy undertone, I don't know, but I'm just so pumped for the next week's episode. I feel like everyone finally has like gotten over the hump in season 3 for whatever reason that they were
Yeah.
experiencing, and they're like, everyone's on board, and it just feels like such a great vibe right now to be a Yellow Jackets fan. So I'm feeling the buzz, 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 basically.
Buzz, buzz, buzz. Well, that's it for this week, and we'll huddle up next week with the new episode.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. We out here.